Imagine you just signed up for a new online store. You add a laptop to your cart, enter your address, and hit buy. Now, behind the scenes, your name, address, payment info, order details, and product inventory all need to be stored somewhere. And not just stored. DS, they need to be organized, updated instantly, and kept secure. What if I told you that just a few decades ago, companies did this with paper files and Excel sheets? One wrong move, one deleted row, and boom. Your order's gone, or worse, someone else gets charged for your purchase. That's exactly why we have database systems. Today, we're stripping away all the fancy jargon to understand what databases really are, why they exist, and how they quietly run almost every data-driven app you've ever used. Let's dive in. Alright, first things first. When we say database, most people think it's just a place where data lives. And sure, technically that's true. But that's like saying a library is just a building with books. A database is an organized collection of related data. But a database system, DBMS, database management system, that's the software that lets you interact with that data. Think of it like this. The database is the warehouse, and the DBMS is the forklift, the inventory manager, and the security system all rolled into one. So, why do we even need this? Because raw data is useless if you can't find it, update it, or trust it. Say you're running a small bookstore. You could store everything in a notebook, customer names, book titles, prices. But what happens when two cashiers try to update the same book stock at the same time? You want to find all customers who bought books in the last month? A power outage happens mid-transaction. Good luck with the notebook. But a database system handles all of this. It's designed to store, retrieve, and manage data efficiently, reliably, and securely. And here's the kicker. This isn't just for big companies. Most data-driven apps, websites, and even smart devices rely on databases or some form of data storage system, like Redis or other specialized stores. Okay, now let's break down what a database actually looks like under the hood. At its core, most databases use something called tables. And tables are basically spreadsheets, rows, and columns. Each column represents a type of information like name or email. Each row is one complete record, like one customer or one product. Now, here's where students usually mess up. They think databases are just fancy Excel files. And I get it, they look similar. But here's the difference. Databases have structure and rules. For example, in a proper database, you can't just randomly delete a column without consequences. You can enforce rules like every customer must have a unique email. You can link multiple tables together, like connecting a customer's table to an orders table. This is called relational data. It's the idea that data isn't isolated, it's connected. Your order is tied to your customer profile, which is tied to the products you bought, which is tied to the warehouse inventory. Everything's linked. Now, let's talk about the software managing all this, the DBMS. A good DBMS does several critical things. Visual, each point appears with icon animation. 1. Storage, saves your data on disk in an optimized way. 2. Retrieval, searches and pulls data out in milliseconds, even with millions of records. 3. Security, controls who can see or edit what for. Consistency, makes sure data stays accurate and follows your rules. 5. Concurrency control, handles multiple users accessing the same data simultaneously. 6. Crash recovery, recovers without losing data if the system crashes. And all of this happens behind the scenes. You just write a simple command like show me all orders from last week and the DBMS does the heavy lifting. That simple command is written in SQL structured query language. SQL is the universal language for talking to relational databases. The most popular ones right now, PostgreSQL, MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle, they all use SQL. It's like English for data. Alright, let's make this real. Imagine you're building a simple school management system. You need to store information about students, courses, and enrollment. Happening here? The enrollment table doesn't repeat student names or course names. It just uses IDs to reference them. This is called normalization, and it prevents data duplication and keeps your data consistent. So, if John changes her email, you only update it in one place, the students table, not in every single enrollment record. That's the power of relational databases. Now, say you want to answer, which courses is John taking? With SQL, you'd write something like this. Select course name from courses. Where course ID in select course ID from enrollment, where student ID 1. W if that looks confusing right now. The point is, the DBMS understands this command, searches through the tables, and gives you the answer instantly. Okay, real talk. Here are the top mistakes students make when they first learn about databases. Mistake 1. Thinking databases and spreadsheets are the same thing. Spreadsheets are great for small stuff, but they break down fast. No proper security, no multi-user concurrency support, and if you accidentally delete a row, it's gone. Databases prevent this with transactions, ACID properties, and backups. They're built for reliability. Mistake 2. Cramming everything into one giant table. I've seen students create a table with 50 columns: customer name, order date, product name, price, warehouse address, all mashed together. This is what we call poor normalization or an unnormalized design, and it leads to chaos. You get duplicate data everywhere, update anomalies, and it becomes a nightmare to maintain. Instead, split your data into logical tables and link them with keys. Trust me, it's cleaner and prevents data integrity problems. Now, there is something called denormalization, where you deliberately add some redundancy for performance reasons, but that's a strategic decision you make after normalizing properly. It's not the same as just throwing everything into one messy table. Mistake 3. Not thinking about scale. Maybe your app works fine with 100 users, but what about 10,000 or a million? Databases are built to scale, but you need to design them properly from the start. This means choosing the right data structures, adding proper indexes for fast queries, and sometimes using techniques like sharding to distribute data across servers. Different database systems handle scale differently too. For massive scale, companies like Netflix use specialized systems like Cassandra or CockroachDB. So why should you care about all this? Because databases are everywhere. Banking apps, database, social media feeds, database. See Netflix recommendations. They use a mix of Cassandra and CockroachDB for the massive distributed database infrastructure. E-commerce platforms, database. And from a career perspective, knowing databases is one of the most valuable skills you can have. According to the latest developer surveys, SQL and database management are consistently in the top skills employers look for. PostgreSQL and MySQL are the most popular, with PostgreSQL used by over 55% of professional developers. Whether you're a software engineer, data analyst, data scientist, or even a product manager, you'll interact with databases constantly. Companies need people who understand MAR. How to design efficient, normalized data structures. MAR. How to write fast, optimized queries. How to keep data secure, consistent, and recoverable. How to scale systems as data grows. And here's the thing, databases aren't going away. If anything, they're becoming more important as data grows exponentially. We're talking petabytes of data being generated every day. Someone's got to manage that, and that someone could be you. Alright, let's wrap this up. Today we covered what a database system really is. Not just a place to store data, but a structured, managed environment with a DBMS handling everything from storage to crash recovery. The basics of how relational databases work: tables, rows, columns, and relationships using keys. Why we use a DBMS to handle storage, retrieval, security, consistency, concurrency, and recovery. B. A practical example with a school system showing normalization in action and the common mistakes beginners make: confusing spreadsheets with databases, poor normalization, and not planning for scale. In the next video, we're diving deeper into file organization versus database approach. If this made sense, hit that like button. If you're still confused about something, drop a comment below. And subscribe, because we're building a full database course here, step by step. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.